Morning, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, I was just checking. I want to get that right. I have a question for you. By a show of hands, who here has a retention strategy? It's a safe space. One person raise your hand. Okay, half. Wayne, half a hand. Okay, I'm going to count that.
I was pointing.
Oh, you're pointing. Okay, so 2-1. Okay, maybe I should ask another question. Do you know what a retention strategy is? Okay, so we do. Okay, we'll get there. Essentially, this is my take on a retention strategy. It's how you maintain that relationship with your customer. I think that's really important to think about. How do you foster that relationship with the view that you are going to drive long-term growth? Sorry, is it possible to have the slides on my screen as well? No. Okay. That was very blunt. All right, perfect. I'm glad I put these slides together so I have some semblance of what comes next. What is really important to recognize in business, and certainly from a brand marketing perspective, is there are two core facets that are constantly moving: acquisition and retention. So acquisition, you're acquiring new clients, new customers, and in the same breath, you need to be maintaining and looking after your existing. So it's that dynamic that you can never forget because it's going to have a profound impact on your business. I absolutely love this quote. The purpose of business is to create a customer who essentially will create customers for you. And that's testament to the delivery that you create. The stats vary on this. I've seen from 5 to 7 times. I see some nodding heads, either know or can relate to that. Think about it. If you've got a strong client base and there is that retention, you've got that revenue stream. It's more predictable. I don't want to say it's guaranteed. We all know how payments can be delayed. But you, in essence, are getting that revenue stream, and you can use that in order to expand and grow your business. If you think of are you familiar with a sales funnel? I think largely. So if you were to flip it, from the very top, we are feeding the funnel with leads. And that conversation is progressing from awareness to consideration through to conversion, retention, and advocacy. And the core focus of my talk is the bottom two elements: retention and advocacy. Jeepers, Cindy, what's in this water? I was wondering starting to mellow out here. That's really the focus of my talk, that we are maintaining those relationships, we're nurturing them. Who here has clients or customers that you've been working with for a year plus? Okay, 3 years, 5 years. I take it that you like working with these folks. Think of how that could be a saving grace in your business, that predictable cash flow. It's the relationships. And by doing good work, there's an advocacy component to that, where they share that with their peers. Some of the benefits to briefly take you through: it's cost-effective growth. You've got those relationships, and to allocate funding into new spaces, maybe moving into new markets. By show of hands, who here has moved beyond the beautiful borders of KZN? Nice one. South Africa? Slightly north? Okay, the numbers start to, okay, so into Africa? Okay, 1, 2 is turning into another auction. Okay, into Europe? Okay, well, fantastic. East and the West. Okay, so it's quite a mixed bag. That's fantastic. Increase customer loyalty. Think about it from your customer's perspective. If it works, why would you consider moving to someone else and take that risk? That you understand their needs. You're building a meaningful relationship. Brand advocacy, which I'm really struggling with that word today. I'll get there. You know, as soon as you're on your drive home, then you're like, oh, you can say it's yeah. The joys of life, hey? Those micro moments, but at least it's amplified in my case. So that advocacy, when people speak highly of you, equally, they can speak negatively of you. We are wanting to promote and foster the positive associations. Competitive advantage. You've got customers coming back to you. Your competitors become more of a blur. What might be perceived as their point of differentiation and the moat that they create around their brand doesn't have the same efficacy. And that's really where the power lies there. And as we discussed, and we've had clients I can see from plus 5 years, 5, 10, a few hands went up. It's all about that relationship. I cannot stress that enough. So some examples. Vida. Anyone buy coffee from Vida? I think that brand. Hey, do you find when you when you tip the barista, does anyone feel like shy and awkward? I don't know if that's like my inner childhood, like you, but it's so lovely if you think about it. That internal culture is living through the staff and conveyed and communicated with the customer. Some interesting aspects to this. They've been expanding not only into South Africa, or in South Africa, but into Ghana, for example. They've identified an opportunity. And how amazing is this? So I'm just going to turn this to the side. Understanding that each country and culture is unique is imperative. Just as one example, while coffee is traditionally perceived as a morning thing, typically in, say, South Africa, in Ghana, it's an evening pastime with the majority of stores trading between 10 and 11 at night. We cannot assume the South African culture is a copy-paste somewhere else. So from a business perspective, that insight is going to be instrumental in terms of when you need to really prioritize that foot traffic. So I thought that was, so insights, understanding culture, empathy for other cultures and countries can go a long way in business growth. Are you familiar with Skin Creamery? South African brand. Okay, so a few of you. Some examples here illustrate how they have expanded across Africa and I think into Europe. So a tactic that you can think about in building that relationship lies with loyalty cards. Does anyone here have a Smart Shopper card?
How many?
Sorry?
How many do we have?
Oh, how many? Yeah. I don't know about you. I'm at a point where you have my data anyway. I might as well score some coin, in the process. So I signed up. I mean, you can tell I live quite an exciting lifestyle. That I took screen grabs and thought this was amazing. I'm sitting on 0 points, and I just have over 1,000 to go, which seems like quite a steep hill. The next component, these are screen grabs from the website, and particularly the loyalty program, is the gamification every time you buy. And another piece that I thought was really interesting is if you refer on to someone else, you're drawing more potential customers to try your product and to buy it. So that's really, I think, instrumental. So consider loyalty cards or any form of loyalty program that you effectively are drawing them in and they're seeing a benefit. There's also obviously POPI compliance and wherever applies in other countries is you're really getting to understand that data. And as I mentioned with the example with Ghana, trade sits at 10, 11 at night. We need to accommodate for that. Boss Iced Tea, I think we're all familiar with the brand. Okay, most heads are nodding. So this is one late evening. My little girls were asleep. I think my wife was watching TV, and I was putting the slide deck together, and I went onto the Boss site. I do know they have an international presence, and I was posed this question: select your region. I can go with South Africa. Is that exciting? I know Adele's been speaking. Yes, technically it is. Do I go with France, the US, or the rest of the world? Just with the chaos in the States at the moment, I was like, I'm not going to go into that website right now. And I thought I'd be daring. So I chose French, or France, in language French. I'm leading up to like a joke, but I can just see it's probably not going to land. I don't know what was going on here. The point is, in terms of your communications in the countries that you service, Is it in their mother tongue? Think about the imagery. So it's a small thing. We assume most people speak English. But imagine the difference if you spoke to someone in their mother tongue. In terms of language, visuals, iconography can go a long way in that connection. And that helps build customer loyalty. Went back, and then I chose South Africa. And at least I could read what was going on. Are you ready to go? And then really the takeout here is by having a website in e-commerce, you can expand your offering beyond the physical ground that we're on here. That we can tailor geographically where our clients or prospects are based. And what Borderless have done really brilliantly is they've leveraged Amazon in terms of distribution into the States, into France, etc. So to think about from your side, who can you partner with to get into said country? So that I thought was really fascinating. Falsken, anyone wearing with sport? I see freedom of movement. Okay, so I see a few. Falsken has become an iconic South African brand. And did you know that the shoes are made in KZN? Hey, maybe in the next talk we can, yeah, absolutely. Very strong focus on sustainability and treating staff fairly, and I think that's really important. Something to consider is if you are creating a South African-based product, are you leveraging the richness and equity of South Africa in your communications as a point of difference? Falsken are doing that categorically, and sure, it has helped having serious investors, backing the brand. But I thought that was quite interesting. Something small that I think is really cost effective is a mailer that you can send out. Bear in mind the psychology of an emailer. You're opting in, you want to hear from that person. It's a paradigm shift. Think of advertising, and if you're in marketing, we are effectively to blame. I don't think we really are good people, but we do what we do. The thinking is you're wanting to hear from that person or that brand. And I really encourage that as a potential option to build that relationship and potential revenue streams from that. Again, what about the language? What are the time zones? When will that be received? Do you really want to get an email if you, based in India at 3 o'clock in the morning? Probably not. So again, it's all these nuances that impact how we communicate. Have you seen the collab between DHL and Falsken? It's ingenious. So you can see the copy at the bottom. When DHL approached Falsken with an idea to collaborate on a limited edition shoe to highlight South African fashion, it was a no-brainer. If you think about it from a logistics partner. This quote is a little bit arrogant, but if you own the space, you own the space. This is the VP of marketing of DHL Express Sub-Saharan Africa. For decades, we have made designers and fashion labels more successful worldwide by creating tailor-made shipping solutions and using our unique logistics network to connect them with a greater global audience. Following our successful fashion collaborations across Europe, North America, and Asia, we wanted to find an African brand for our next exciting collaboration. Think about their partnerships and where you can leverage the equity and insight, in this case with a courier company or logistics company, to get into said country. But like we saw with Borderless and Amazon. So that could be a way of expanding your brand. I did mention a moment ago, thinking about really harnessing that South African uniqueness, that equity, that value, what makes us, I think, truly special. I think we all love our country, right? Let's look at ways in which we can convey that. A very subtle image in the back, hinting at Australia, the presence that it has. So that's Falsken. Some key considerations that can help build those relationships with your customers or clients. And as Adele said, basically, not all your clients are around the corner. How can we harness digital to engage? And what I really encourage, and I found instrumental, I've done it's essentially via Zoom. I've had or consulted into Botswana, Kenya, Netherlands, into Europe. It's largely digital. So think about what are the tools that are available to you. So one of the suggestions is with video calls, can you create a degree of personalized support? What does it cost you to build that relationship with someone overseas? Providing educational webinars, thinking about time zones and the languages that your customers speak. Find that sweet spot in terms of that delivery. Email marketing. I absolutely swear by it. Remember what I mentioned around the psychology of email. People want to hear from you. As opposed to advertising or shouting at you all the time, you're opting in. There's a psychological dimension to that. You could be anywhere in the world and fire off those mailers. And you've got incredible analytics to back that around who's opened it, for how long, etc. So that's, I would argue, is a very cost-effective way. And then the other platform, WhatsApp. Who uses WhatsApp as their pretty much primary channel for communications? Most. I would ascertain the countries you're wanting to get into. What is the dominant channel there? Is it WhatsApp? Is it Facebook Messenger? Is it Telegram? We need to do our homework and need to be where our customer is. Then the last section I'd like to speak to you about is business etiquette. How we present ourselves, the way in which we dress, our body language, what we say, and equally what we don't say is communicating something about our business. So my take on it is that business etiquette refers to how you conduct yourself both on and offline, and how that can either bolster brand equity in a personal capacity or as a business, but equally be disrespectful or not have some understanding of that culture or country you want to engage with, and it's not going to go well. So some examples. In Japan, when you greet someone, there's a slight bow. If you're gifted something, it's the same. In China, you use both your hands to gift something. And if you ever work with a client in China, make sure you never give that client a clock, because it speaks to time and death. The other thing you don't want to do is give your client a pair of shoes, because that suggests or communicates that you want them to run away. So it's worth doing your homework. Yeah. In India, hierarchy is really important. So whether you're meeting your client or clients online or in person, you address the most senior person first. Imagine doing that the other way around and you're not even aware of that, but you've insulted a group of people. So yeah, it's worth doing your homework. In Germany, I think we all are very aware, time obsessed. It is, so the long and short of this, you're never late for a meeting. Arrive early. 10 minutes, absolutely. If you're late, it conveys you're so unprofessional. There's a good chance you'll lose the work. Because if I can't rely on you now, are you going to deliver on your promise later? It doesn't communicate that. And then, as I mentioned earlier, I thoroughly enjoy putting these slides together. In America, they really value getting to the point. So with the help of our friend ChatGPT and my acquired sense of humor, I put in a prompt to basically make the most ridiculous emailer that just doesn't get to the point. Oh, yeah, email. So, dear most esteemed and honorable madam, it goes on and on and on. And I only get to what I offer basically at the bottom of the email. And then I mention a whole bunch of dates and times. So if you were to be engaging with an American client, they're not going to receive this well. And that's a really terrible start to a potential relationship. So 3 questions I would like to leave you with. The first one is, What's your biggest challenge in keeping customers, and how are you tackling it? How are you addressing that? I can see some brains are twitching there, certainly eyes. How do you track? How do you measure customer retention? Do you have any metrics in place out of interest? Okay, it appears no one. Think about the lifetime value of that customer. Is it once off? Is it over a certain period of time? Purchase habits, churn rate, etc. And third, are you using customer feedback to improve retention? Feedback can be a bitter pill, but if we can take that drone view and take a more detached take on it, what are the pluses, the merits in that, and how can I improve? Because that's going to have a correlation to your business. So really to think about that. And then I think we're keeping the Q&A to more conversation. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Simon. Thanks, Simon. Appreciate
Pleasure.
it. Thank you, Simon. I don't know if you heard the people cheering outside. You heard your own cheering committee outside.